It is July 16th, 2018. This is Atlanta United FC Weekly, a Home Before Dark podcast.
Who's more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
What about that fool who fooled the fool?
Wait, are you in on the drop?
I can't follow this joke long enough. I don't know enough things to keep going on this.
I posted, I said, Tim doesn't check Twitter anymore, so AMA. And I'm just going to drop them throughout the show tonight. So that was our first one by none other than Andy Watkins.
Okay. And what was it again?
Who's more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
All right. I like it. Hey, everybody. I am Tim Herbert, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Mr. Kevin Bradley, right here. Yeah. Doing the smart thing, drinking the iced coffee while I have this hot brew. And in the hellish, swampish studio that we got going on right now, it just doesn't get worse when it's raining. And then it's 95 degrees outside.
Just hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold.
Hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Thank you guys for taking time out of your Monday evening to come and hang out with us. If you guys are in the trap, especially, thank you guys. And if you guys aren't subscribed to us on YouTube, don't just hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell notification icon so that YouTube doesn't curate something where, like, you'll never believe these celebrities these days. Like,
I'm actually starting a spinoff YouTube page that's just, you'll never believe what Tim said about Atlanta United. You'll never believe what happened on Home Before Dark. And it's just it's just all those audio clips of, I really wish Almiron would break his leg. And it's just stitched together.
That's not me though. That's Dan. Is that Dan that says shit like that? Anyway, Brittany S., as always, Elliot Beaven, David Dudley, finally able to make it into the trap for a live broadcast. Thanks for joining us. And Kendrick Brock, the newly ball and chained man, right?
It's old news now.
Yeah,
it's been like 6 months.
Yeah, it is.
Pretty
Where is Dan? Elliot Beaven. I guess Dan just it's not important enough to him a week after his baby was born to join us. So I think we're going to just kick him off the podcast in general.
Yeah, fuck it.
If he can't prioritize the podcast over his week-old baby boy, then he absolutely needs to choose. No, but congratulations. We haven't recorded since Dan had the baby, have we?
We haven't.
Yeah, it's kind of been
named him Timothy Kevin James, which is fucking awesome.
That is a good name. That is just a really good, like, objectively. Because I don't think, this may just be my bias, but I don't think Timothy makes a good middle name.
No, I can see that.
Yeah. It needs to be like the entree. It needs to be the meat and the potatoes.
Kevin's a weird middle name, I would think.
Yeah, that's true too.
But really psyched that he did that. That was a huge honor for us.
Huge opportunity. I was really hoping for Home Before James. So we can brand, like, we're gonna get him Home Before Dark swaddling clothes.
Baby, I'm gonna give definition to the slap. You know, those stickers. I'm just gonna slap a Home Before Dark sticker on that little baby James' forehead.
That sounds good to me. I mean, a pacifier with the mom screaming on the front of it.
It's great.
Yeah. Anyway, Joey Herring joining us for the first. I haven't seen him in ages, man. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, he is probably mourning England's loss.
Yeah,
losses. I guess I should say
that's true.
It's been a pretty rough week for him. Yeah. A new kid and 2 England losses.
Yeah, Kevin Brown, Richard Gordon, Elliot Beaven, Derek Rushing. See you guys. Oh, Joey, you were here. My bad. It seemed like we were missing you for a while. I think you were moving and getting settled.
Lose Dan, add the baby.
I like it too, man. It's It definitely adds a new dynamic to the game. I mean, there's so many Atlanta United podcasts that we need to
just replace Dan's segment with just audio clips of baby.
Yes. No, that sounds good. No, but yeah, to Ellie Beaven's point, disappointment with England losing. It does suck. It was kind of heartbreaking. I was at this point, like, I was cheering for the underdog most of the way through. And to me, England was kind of the underdog because France and Belgium were definitely on the heavier side of that bracket.
Yeah, no kidding.
We'll get into that later. We'll talk about that game. We'll talk about the string of games later. Yeah, for sure. A couple things. We recorded last week, and iTunes is screwy, and so is Apple Podcasts.
Well, we talked about how they took away a review from us. Wow, that was really loud, Tim.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure in there. Yeah, no, we were sitting at 140 for a while, and then it went down to 139, and we were like, what the hell? And then finally we went back and looked at it later towards the end of last week, and some of them started popping up. And it's even to the point where if I look at it on my computer, there's one missing, and then that's not on my phone. Anyway, we're going to do the old school way since we completely blanked on it last week and read those out at the you want to go ahead and read them out? Give them.
Well, before we read it out, I've got a little bit of a misconnection on my end.
Oh, yeah?
As I was getting
Craigslist misconnections?
Yeah, I almost want to start.
This is weird. I don't like where this is going.
As I was getting off the MARTA yesterday, rode the entire way, sat there, Katie and I talked, no big deal. Get off my MARTA stop. As I'm crossing the threshold of doors, a faint voice yells out, "Hey, I really love the podcast, by the way." And the doors just close, and we are forever separated through the bounds of time. And I don't know who it was to be able to say how much I appreciated it.
I know we
whoever
joked.
You are, MARTA stranger. Damn it. I wish we could have held each other and just had that moment back.
Can we... I like how Brian called him a coward. Afraid to show his face. Afraid to show that he actually likes the show. Yeah, his wife is probably like, "Who was that?" Yeah, it was Joe Rogan. He was getting off he was getting, you know what? I'm gonna call it the Martas. Because Kendrick's giving you shit for calling it the MARTA.
It was the MARTA train. It was the Metro Area Transit Association.
Metro Atlanta. I don't know what it stands for.
Rail transport.
It's like NASCAR car.
All right. First review. They're fine. 5 stars by Bragadash. This podcast is fine. It does the soccer things. I listen to this podcast every week, mostly waiting to find out if the British dude has had this kid yet. Please stop begging me for a review. Cheers.
I like it.
You've got that other one that's a little bit shorter. That last one we're going to have to split up because it's over a few weeks now.
Yeah, let me read the one that just showed up on the...
Yeah, we found out that some of it has to do with the actual location. So if you're in a different... We've had a few from the UK that just didn't get
it's very strange.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is G's 5 stars by Not Your Forte. This podcast is funny and informative. These guys are great. Congrats on the baby, Dan. Baby Dan.
Congrats on the baby Dan. I'm really glad we added baby Dan to the lineup.
It's like that Chappelle bit about adding a comma in there. She had a crack, baby. She had a crack, baby.
All right, we'll split this one up.
All right.
Oh boy. By none other than Crash_Brogan. 5 stars because no one else will. It's Orlando Hate Week. It was when I wrote this, rating being updated as of 7/18/18. 7/8/18. It hasn't even 7. It's not even 7/18 yet. Love listening to you guys. Very informative podcast on all things Atlanta United and, for the time being, World Cup analyses. Light, comical, and not pushy with the material. Each one of you guys has your own take on a subject for a previous game and player performance. Truly one of the best podcasts my listening holes have had the pleasure of being filled to the brim with. And Kevin is okay, I guess. LOL. Just kidding, Kevin. You didn't have to add that. I know. I especially love it when you guys call into the show when you can't be there that night just to make sure
people enjoy that.
It's stressful on our part.
Yeah, it's stressful, but it like adds that like touch, like, oh, they are like a triumvirate. Like they don't want to be torn apart from one another. I like it.
I especially love it when you guys call into the show when you can't be there that night just to make sure you can get your 2 cents in. It's only annoying when a certain someone calls in and starts singing some song praising England despite Belgium doing the exact same thing in the same group. Love you though, Dan. Red Devils all the way though, Danny boy.
Where am I at? Oh, geez. That just scrolled like all the way to the top.
Why did you do that?
I don't know. I got to scroll through all this stuff. Anyway, if you haven't listened to these guys yet and you want a solid 10 out of 10 podcast to listen to for the weekly Atlanta United report and analysis, stop here, subscribe, and listen immediately. Seriously, do it. Different, yet all solid takes on the way games were played as well as individual player performance. 10 out of 10 will listen every time. Listen every week to them. Ooh la la bad boys. Still waiting for a shirt design for that saying with the 3 of you guys on it, by the way. Next time you guys need to give us a heads up, you're going to leave us high and dry for a week without a new episode. Was thoroughly disappointed last week. Obviously, this got hung up in the matrix. Disappointed last week when we didn't get a new one. Made the week feel longer. Updated 7:15. You guys didn't read this review last week, and I was hurt. JK. I'm just surprised y'all didn't see it. But no worries. Keep up the good work, bad boys. And just because I like hearing y'all read them, here are some emojis. I'm going to go with the first couple ones because they're not as suggestive. Anyway, winky face, devil face, squinty face, hands up, soccer, 1-7, 100, soccer goal.
I think that's what we're missing. Oh, God. Heart eyes, tonguey face, mind blown, lick that peach butt, eggplant squirt.
and then we got one more on the if you guys like listening to, between us, Unrelegated, the Home Before Dark podcast, we really haven't done in a while. You guys can subscribe on the Home Before Dark network, get all the shows. Anyway, there's a review left on there, which is awesome. iTunes review, 5 stars. Orlando sucks. Good stuff. OFU Orlando. He actually put the initials are abbreviated, so I'm not afraid to say that. Keep up the good work. Enjoyable podcast with good information. I want a sticker. ... We'll help you out. Orlando sucks. Send us a DM or something.
I think we need a theme. The emoji and then my misconnection. I feel like we're missing something. I thought about the misconnection that I would almost feel like it should be captured with the Whitney Houston song or something. So maybe we can get like just no.
I wanna know who was on the martyr.
Just ridiculous 90s lyrics as reviews, and then we have to try to remember what song it was. So your review is just 1 or 2 lines from 90s songs or 80s songs, 80s ballads even. That'd be great.
Yeah. No, that would be great. Yeah. As you guys know, if you guys leave us a review on iTunes and or Apple Podcasts and Stitcher, we will read them out on the show. Sorry it took a week and we missed it. Anyway, we got some more faces in here we haven't seen in Robert Swick used to join us every week and be in there all the time.
He's
man.
So busy with his Mind the Gap posts. The Gap posts.
Anyway, we have some discussion going on already about DC, and we haven't even started talking about the Seattle game.
Let's just jump into it. We'll put all the rest of the housekeeping at the back of the show. Be sure to, if you're in
fantasy standings, nothing changed. I mean, Jonathan Easy's still fucking running away with it.
Jacob
Barley.
Jesus. So yeah, fantasy standings still the same. You can find all that fun on gethomebeforedark.com. If you are in the live chat, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. And thanks for checking us out. Hit subscribe, hit the bell. If you're on iTunes, leave a rating or review to hit it red on the show. On to the show. We did play Seattle yesterday in a grueling 1-1 loss.
I like that too, because I check Twitter occasionally. Like
who pissed you off to not check Twitter?
The world. Like it's something for another time, but it's like there's just a time suck where I get sucked in and I have arguments in my head with people and like looking at replies and that sort of thing.
Just getting in a wave of getting triggered and realizing it and getting sucked into it.
I get it. Yeah. It's I found other things to fill my void, but whoa.
After dark.
Anyway, what were we saying?
Seattle 1-1 loss.
Oh yeah, the Twitter thing. So I was checking it earlier today. I looked at our page and I saw you posted that last night. I imagine it was you. And I saw Ryan Catanese from Atlanta United's digital team say 1-1 loss, and he did like the Zach Galifianakis equations thing. And I thought that was so perfect that like he thought that he didn't realize you were being facetious about it. Like he was, it's like, wait, what? But that's what it felt like, man. I can't help but. I like this. I mean, we have a Sounders supporter in the live chat right now in the trap. Joel Ayala saying, "I'm a Sounders fan, but Atlanta support is insane. Keep it up." And he said Sounders had a 1-1 win yesterday.
I have no clue how the fuck you found us, but thanks for coming and dealing with our shenanigans. That's awesome. So thanks, Joel, for coming and hanging out with us. Yeah, I feel like more times than not, draws end up going the way of them. They have to feel one way or the other, right? It's rare that you get a draw outcome and you don't feel like, damn, we really should have won that. Or
sometimes
that felt like a loss because we definitely outplayed the opponent or something like that, you know?
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I mean, there are certain matchups, certainly in like big high profile matchups, especially in England, where you have two teams going at it and they've been billing it all week as like the showdown of the century, the showdown of the season. and then nothing happens. And it's like neither team deserved to win. Both teams deserved to lose. But
like Portland game, I felt like was a solid draw.
Yeah, I could see that because
NYCFC draw felt like a win because we got outplayed the majority of that game, and then this game felt like a loss to me.
Robert Swick's right. Yeah, I've always felt there are 4 emotional results from soccer games: win, loss, win, draw, and loss, draw. Yeah. This is certainly the least pleased I've been with a draw. This put it on its head. I know exactly how Joel is feeling right now when we talk about the Minnesota game. When we went up there, go down a man, right?
Yes.
And then we still somehow find a way to get a draw out of that game.
Right.
It's the same thing. I mean, it's Seattle gutted it out.
Seattle had.
I still have so much. I say that with my teeth gritted so hard because there are things I just want to say and want to.
Let it go, Tim. Just what is it? What is it? You don't have a Twitter platform to say it. What's on your mind, buddy?
Nico Ladero.
Uh-huh.
I thought Felipe was bad. I thought Christian Techera was bad. I thought so many of these guys in MLS that are prima donnas that, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way about Miguel Almiron because he hits the deck a lot. He gets fouled a lot. Nico Ladero gets fouled a lot. But what I would say that Miguel Almiron does not do is he does not waste time the way that Nico Ladero does.
Systematically, I felt like Seattle had a game plan to stifle Atlanta's attack, and it relied on them being told that they couldn't do it. And because that didn't take place, it was allowed to continue, and it 100% worked in their favor. They came in, they played defensively, they took advantage of their opportunities whenever they were given, but more times than not, they tried to waste time, get into Atlanta's players' heads, and it absolutely worked. We saw players getting frustrated right and left. We end up having the time wasting, which ends up drawing Toledo, right? That's his last name.
Baldemar Toledo.
Yeah. Toledo's ultimate decision to go to VAR for the handball.
Well, the biggest story of the refereeing was the fact that you got to handle the fourth official timekeeping.
Dude, I got 7 minutes of stoppage time. What else do you want? What else do you want out of me?
For those of you guys who maybe not in on it and maybe didn't see that, you posted it on Twitter, right?
I did.
The fourth official yesterday was one letter away from having the exact
Kevin
same.
Broadley finally.
Give him a chance, bro. Just give him a chance. And just fittingly enough, Brandon Vasquez didn't play. So Kevin Brown, I like this. He said, I'm not a Sounders. I'm not. I think he's meant to say I'm not mad at Sounders playing for a draw. So that's what you do against good teams on the road. You know what? I honestly can't be mad at it either. It's just, it was very frustrating. And to Joel's point, he says Ladero was pissing him off as a Seattle Sounders fan who he says he traveled all the way from San Diego to go watch that game in Atlanta.
I think we've all been there with our teams before, where there's times where Barco takes a couple too many easy light touches to hit the deck. I think everybody that's a fan of teams in this era feels that same way, that there's some games where they'll go down easier than others, and it's at a detriment to the entire team's image in some cases.
Yeah, so we have some stuff in here. LGP suspended for a match, and then to your point later on, Joey, that's right. It looks like his second suspension is going to be on his 8th yellow card, so I think he has one more to go before he's given that vacation.
You expect to see a Martinez suspension
for the headbutt?
Yeah.
I don't think so at all. I mean, if granted, there were a lot of things that didn't go to VAR that should have, and there were things that obviously I think and I'll be fair, like I haven't gone back and watched the game again. I was pretty disappointed yesterday, and then today busy with work. But the way that the penalty went down at the end of the first half was just so disappointing. Like that should have, the way that the time wasting happened, and then pretty much forcing him to go to VAR on that it was disappointing. I don't know about the thing about the Martinez suspension is it is definitely a possibility because there was no action taken on the field, right? He didn't get a yellow card. He didn't get a red card.
The ref didn't even get involved, which was my biggest complaint.
I think he was scared to, right?
That was my biggest complaint with it.
Well, I have two complaints.
He just let the whole thing play out.
Those are the two situations or the two scenarios that I really don't, or the two outcomes from a referee that I feel are cop-outs. I think whenever they don't do anything, especially when, there's something going on. And then whenever they just levy the same punishment on both players without, taking into consideration what happens. I don't know. L.A. Bevan says, what do you feel about the way that Justin Martinez reacted? Because to L.A. Bevan's point, he said the Seattle player, Chad Marshall,
absolutely provoked.
Said that he started the fight with Martinez, but Martinez should have not reacted.
Again, it was in Seattle's, I don't know if that necessarily was intentional, but to hold up play for a team that's so quick and so lethal on the counter like Atlanta United is, that one way to add to their inability to capitalize on that is to play defensively and then try to catch Atlanta on a counter, muddy up the midfield and make it more congested, or the combination of the two and play to the time. And despite 90 minutes of 30-second setups for goal kicks and free kicks, and
it was frustrating.
I mean, there was a free kick setup that I counted 30 seconds for a setup.
Yeah,
and zero things or warnings or cards given by the ref allowed that to continue to take place for the entirety of the game, and it gets these players like Martinez really frustrated because they want to play, like they want to go. You notice that in Martinez's celebration at the end of the half. There's 1 minute left in the half. He picks up the ball and goes and sets it on the midfield line because he wants, like, they want to play, and they're just continuously being struck down, essentially.
Yeah. I have a couple points to that. I just wanted to welcome in Marshall Voigt. He said, first time watching live. I always wondered what y'all looked like. Also, y'all talk much slower on the podcast, or when the podcast isn't sped up to 1.25. That's why I don't watch, I don't rewatch or re-listen to any of our stuff, because I listen to podcasts at 1.4 most of the time. And it's just like, if I turn this on, I sound like a sloth. and I know I don't talk that slowly, but a couple things. Kendrick Brock, I like what he says here. He says refs have no responsibility to separate players that are in a tussle. That's up to the teams. However, he does say that I have no idea how there weren't multiple cards there. Agreed, 100%. I mean, it's up to the players to police themselves, or teams to police themselves in that situation. But it is up to the referee to set the precedent there that he's not going to tolerate that shit. I mean, that's the thing is he
lost control as a result.
He conceded ground to the players to police them. It was a pickup game at a certain point.
Exactly.
To Brian Diefenbach, our good buddy, saying, how was the McCann Seattle slam choke hold in the box? Not a penalty. So totally reviewable by VAR. He must have been watching The Simpsons as well.
I think there was a lot of that. I mean, and I want to preface this by saying that I think that the officiating was bad on both sides of the ball. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. Yes, the McCann foul is a blatant one that was missed, but there were also calls that were missed on the other side.
The Escobar handball, is that a handball to you? Take all considerations out of how the VAR situation ended up and how they actually even went to monitor and all that stuff.
So the thing is, with his and the one for LGP that ends up coming on, I don't know if you saw that one online that got posted later on.
No, I did not.
Yeah, there's another
part of the detriment.
But they're both very similar instances where the player is clearly turning away from the ball as if to shield himself from making contact with the ball and trying to pull his hands out of a position to play, and the ball happens to deflect off their hands. If that's not unintentional, I don't know. I mean, it seems really...
I didn't see any intent with the Escobar thing. In the same way I didn't see any intent with Perisic yesterday in the Croatia game.
I think both of those are unintentional and therefore not PKs.
But isn't the rule either intentional or played in a way that benefits... that adds benefits to the player?
I would have to look at.
I don't know the exact bylaws or whatever.
I've always just layman's is always intentional versus unintentional. But you're probably right. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And in that case, sure, I think then you can argue that Escobar's is a PK opportunity as a result of that.
Unnatural position. Arms in a unnatural position is considered whenever it's unintentional, I guess.
So that's and Escobar was in a completely natural position where he's clearly turning away from facing the ball.
And I know we'll talk about it later, but the same
he's not even looking at the ball whenever his hand makes contact. If that's not unintentional and natural position, I don't know what is.
Unless you're PK and you have your arms up in the middle of a corner and you just don't bring them down. No, it's the same thing that can be said for the way the Perisic, it gave him an advantage yesterday, but at the same time, his arms went up to go give him leverage to go after that 50-50 ball in the box. And then he brought his arms down as you would naturally, and his arm was out at, I don't know. I didn't see intent in that. I saw an unnatural position, which ended up, justifying that penalty. I guess.
Goes back to the way that VAR is utilized. And I still think it should be in terms of the way basketball video review is that the official has to make a call and then he can use VAR to uphold it or overturn it. It should not be used the other way around where players and teams then thereby dictate the official using VAR by wasting time, holding up play, and holding the official hostage, essentially, because the official hasn't done anything to gain control of the game at that point, to then force them to use VAR to find an angle or impose whether or not it was intentional or not on a frame-by-frame replay. If it was a handball, the official should have called a handball and then validated it or disproved it through VAR, not the other way around, not making a no call, then having people up in the booth for 45 seconds review it and then make the call.
Yeah, we have a couple things in here. Magdalena Magic says doesn't seem like the refs can handle the pressure in Mercedes-Benz. I think that's right. And I think that's been laid out by, I think, Peter Vermees. No, not Vermees. It was Philly's coach that was saying that I think it was a red or a penalty that we had against them inside Mercedes-Benz. He was saying the crowd had a lot to do with that. And I think that's what he's talking about, the influence that they have on the referees where they're scared to make those. The other thing that people are bringing up is the LGP handball.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
And then also the elbow.
The elbow,
I didn't get to see a good replay on that angle on that.
So the elbow is, his arm is extended all the way out.
Yeah.
And he's trying to put body on it. And I think the best explanation or discussion was actually on air during the broadcast, which is that Escobar has an extra 2 or 3 inches on whoever that, or LGP has a couple extra inches on whoever that was that he's defending at the time. So naturally, his arm is going to be at face level whenever he tries to play body.
That's what Brittany S is saying. He's saying he's short. Nico Lodeiro is short.
Exactly.
And he definitely made a meal of it. But in Joel, I think this is a great point. Again, our Seattle Sounders fan who ended up finding us, he says, here's a big question. Should Seattle had played with 9 and Atlanta with 10, because the first half was completely uncontrollable. Both teams had players committing bad fouls. Actually, he makes a great point, like playing devil's advocate for Toledo. Is Toledo supposed to send off 3-4 players in a game and then see just like a crazy shitty product? But I don't know. It's like cutting your nose off to spite your face. Maybe that's not the right way to say that, but he had to deal with the unintended consequences and not reining it in sooner.
Right.
It's like either he has to dole out those punishments, because some of those guys could have definitely been sent off. I think Lodeiro, for time wasting one, granted they ended up getting VAR decision and all that. He should have been in the book.
Yeah.
And then later on he got a yellow, so maybe he could have been sent off. And then you look at LGP's elbow, potentially could have been a red. You look at Joseph, could have been sent off easily. Yeah. And then you end up having, I can't remember the guy's name from Seattle who actually did get sent off.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough because it falls on the official to maintain control and the pace of play, and neither of which were allowed to really flow as they should have. That's what's frustrating.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, and Joel, we'll stick with you on that. They're bad, as Kevin was saying, they're bad calls on both sides.
Absolutely.
That definitely should have been taken care of, and they probably would have never come to that if he would have gotten the game under control sooner rather than later, if he ever even did have it in control at any point. Takeaways from this game in terms of gameplay. Let's stop talking about referees and all those decisions. I don't think that's.
God, I think this is what, week 3 or week 4 now of Tito in the starting lineup, and each and every time I get excited. I forget. Oh my God, I wish I could pull the GIF of it or something, but he makes this cut in the second half where he's running towards our 18, stops the ball, and then redirects position as he cuts around the defender all in one motion and like has to go down onto his hand on the field essentially to regain his balance. And then he's off like a bullet. Oh my God.
Brian said whenever Tito stole that guy's soul.
Jesus, that was amazing.
I don't know that.
And then he tries to dick him by playing the out, but it actually goes to Miggy, who then plays the short pass back to him on the wing. But yeah, that was a beautiful setup.
The way that you've seen it again 2 weeks in a row. What he did the same dick that he did against Philly. That it's so beautiful because you talked about it last week. Whenever his ability to start and stop on a dime to reposition himself is something to behold, because the way that he got into position for that tap in, that sliding tap in against Philly, it's the same thing here, where he's able to run, Tito style on train tracks and then stop for a split second, put the ball around somebody and keep going around their side. It's amazing. So yeah, I don't know.
Other than that, I think so. Positives and negatives, right? We'll try to guide it maybe that way.
One positive: Joey Herring said he got to wave a flag yesterday.
I think everybody did.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
I've got a coworker that was like, "Yeah, I mean, it was my first game, and first of all, she ended up paying 2 or 3 times face value for a supporter section seat. She didn't know about the flags, didn't know about the beer, didn't know about any of it. And she was like, it was fun, but there was a lot of flags." And I was like, oh, it's a whole thing.
He said not the gold one, so the red one
or black one. Or there was a black one.
Yeah,
too.
Black one. Did you get to wave one of the supporter section flags?
So the other thing, as far as negative goes, we can bounce back and forth.
Negatives to
Chris
me,
McCann he's got some rust, I think, built up.
You think so?
Playing. And seeing his connections and distribution from the wing and some of his hesitancy to distribute the ball. One in particular, he's up on at the time of the play. I think he was actually all the way over on right wing, and Barco feeds him a through ball, and he comes up to play it off and completely whiffs on it entirely. Yeah. I think it'll be okay in time, but it's clear that he's got some rust to.
But I agree. Like Brittany S says she thought McCann was straight. I thought so too. I thought he was fine. I thought he did a good job in defense. Where we saw the back three too at the end. Yeah. And to Kevin's point, Kevin Brown saying he wished McCann would have got that goal. It would have been good for him. I think that. Wow. Okay, that was the next question. I mean, Wavy one says low key think we would have won won the game with Ambrose.
But at the same time,
what is
what does Ambrose give you that McCann doesn't whenever McCann's healthy?
Because this is what I wanted to get to, and I wanted to look up stats on this, so I might let you read your AMA comments while I look at this. But again, it seems like a common theme whenever we're forced to cross the ball a ton. We can't put the ball in the back of the net.
No.
Yeah, this was to me. This was a repeat of the Portland game, right? I mean,
right.
We were forced out wide for the most part.
You're absolutely right.
And it took a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ball, a lofted through ball from Gressel to hit Joseph Martinez's head on that.
I'll say at the same time, though, there were at least 3 other opportunities that were as narrow a miss as you can possibly get. Martinez in the first half plays a worm burner just left of the outside post. That just I
can't believe you're just using that term and just with a straight face.
Just barely misses it. But
this is my worm burner.
The big one is LGP's header that hits the upper 90. That one was a heartbreaker.
Right, and
was a heartbreaker.
And to Kevin Brown's point, McCann, Stephen Fry did a great job of getting down for that. You don't talk about a guy who had a good game. And we talked about time wasting from Seattle's perspective. Stephen Fry, they did it without him wasting time. I don't remember a time where he was wasting any time. Like, I don't remember a time where he had the ball for more than 6 seconds in his box on a free kick or on a punt or anything like that.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess they have other people to do that right now.
So a lot of comments coming in about the discussion between Mikey and McCann. Kevin Brown saying Mikey has better chemistry with Miggy. Obviously, you mentioned that Brian mentioned low key that he thought we would have won if McCann or LGP put that quarter in. Oh no, he said high key. Sorry. Brian Diefenbach says, "Could you imagine Mikey Ambrose out there with as physical as that game was?" Which is a really good point.
If what? Say that again. Sorry,
Mikey Ambrose out there with the physicality of the game versus McCann.
I don't know if he would have got out. You know what? He got bullied one time so far that he's been playing. And for a guy his size, and Joey Herring says he has a player appearance tomorrow, so I'm not sure where that is, but you guys go find him and go give him hugs and all that stuff. Maybe so. I could see that. I mean,
and Swick has a good point too, that McCann it was the right call. Ambrose is a good defensive player, but McCann is the better offensive player, and we knew Seattle wasn't going to attack. I think we knew that really definitively in that 75th minute or whatever, where we saw the reverse of the substitution that Tata was forced to make against Dallas, where Dallas was surging. We had to sub in the defensive player to react to it. We at least get the benefit of being in the opposite position against Seattle. It doesn't pan out the way that the Dallas substitution did, but he did go all in with the 3-back and brought in Romario to pull off. Who did he pull off at that point? Escobar.
He took Escobar off and put Romario in, and it made me realize how much I miss whenever we play that 3-5-2.
I just don't think that's sustainable over a full 90 against a team that's also going to take chances at actually attacking.
Yeah.
Against that Seattle team at that point in time, it was the right call. It's disappointing that it didn't pan out into anything, but it was nice to see.
Joel, our Seattle fan in the trap, says, funny how both Pacific Northwest teams know how to play Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz. Not like we average 40,000 a game and have most fierce rivalry in American sports. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, they're not awestruck by the crowd. They're not, they're used to big game situations. And it is funny that they play us the exact same way. Let's see. Marshall Voigt saying, I'd like to see Tito firing more rockets at the goal while a couple of players crash the boards to clean up the rebound. I wouldn't mind seeing that too. Somebody, Wavy One, is talking about Matt Doyle's comments on Barco.
Okay, so first of all, Matt Doyle is known to try to rile up fan bases.
Yes,
it's all intentional. Do not read in. He feeds off of it. We've interviewed him on the show. I think he's a good dude. He is trolling 95% of the time. Don't read too much into it. That said, Barco is going to come under criticism because of the price tag associated with him.
Well, so the criticism, he's obviously trolling, saying he's an average MLS winger. The criticism, I think, was probably more appropriate a few weeks ago. I thought he had a fair game yesterday.
I thought he absolutely did as well.
I didn't take a look at match ratings yet, but I mean, I thought that he played all right yesterday. I thought that he did a good job of navigating the defense. He was not giving up the ball.
So this dovetails into a larger discussion in regards to Barco. So Martinez scores yesterday. He scores the lone goal for Atlanta, putting his total at 19 on the season.
And just so you guys know, according to WhoScored.com, Barco had the highest of the non-defenders.
Exactly. He created the most opportunities with 5 yesterday in the game. Like I said, I think that some of that is warranted, and Barco's up and down. He is young and inexperienced. I don't think that yesterday was the right time to make that discussion or argument necessarily. However, it is a greater discussion to be had that Martinez scores his 19th goal yesterday, which, mind you, is on track to break the record for most goals scored.
What is the record? 30-something right now?
27.
27 by Landon Donovan?
No. I forget who it was. MLS posted it earlier today. I can't remember who did it. But so he's on pace to break that. But the larger discussion is it concerning to you or you guys listening in the trap that the majority of our goals have been, the large majority of our goals have just been scored by Joseph Martinez, and that you're not seeing as much of a distribution to other players as we did, say, last year? because we're only 2 years in, it's hard to read too much into it. But even other teams around the MLS, I think you'd be hard pressed. This is just me talking out of my ass here without any actual validation or statistics to back it up. However, I think you'd be hard pressed to find the discrepancy in goals scored for teams as Atlanta United does, where I think the second highest goal scorer is Miggy, right? And doesn't he have like 8?
Yeah, he has 8 goals, I believe.
Yeah. So you're looking at plus 11 to your other player, and then everybody else is hovering around maybe 2, 3. I think Barco's got 2 or 3, and then Gressel has 2 or 3. So the team I want to look at specifically, go to New York Red Bulls, who I've stated publicly, and I stand by at this point in time in the season, that I think we will see come to fruition if something doesn't change. I still think Atlanta's a lock, no worse than 3rd place, most likely Supporter Shield or 2nd place. But of the teams that could and I think will overthrow Atlanta at the top spot, New York Red Bulls. Look at New York Red Bulls and look at who's really scoring for them and what.
What I was going to say is Atlanta, we have 24 goals not scored by Joseph Martinez.
That's not bad.
Yeah, 43. I think 43 total goals. And yeah, 24 of them are not scored by Joseph. So if you want to look at goals for just a breakdown of Atlanta real quick, we have Miguel at 8. We have Barco at 4. We have Tito at 3, and he's not really played a whole ton this year. Gressel at 2. Oh, did I do math wrong? No,
yeah,
that's right. Did. 12, 15.
Oh,
no,
all those 2s and 1s that had up.
But yeah, Garza and Romario.
Still, let's just for the sake of argument, let's go to Red Bulls and see how theirs are stacking up. If it's nearly as close to.
Yeah, I mean, we have BWP with 12, and then you have Royer with 4, Kaku with 3, Etienne with 3, Florian Below with 3, Aaron Long with 2, Moyle with 2, and Rivas with 2, and 2, and 2, and 2, and 1, and 1, and 1. Yep. So it's distributed pretty well. But
their ratio is probably pretty similar, though, 12 and 4 versus 19 and 8. So yeah. It's pretty similar. But what do you guys think? Do you think that that's to be concerned with, that there is such a high?
I think we have that in here. It's like Kendrick Brock saying that I'm worried if he gets injured, obviously he being Joseph Martinez, that we won't be able to score. But then you have Richard Gordon said it could be concerning, but we know we have players like Tito, Miggy, and Williams that can all get hot. Yeah, I don't know.
I think and Williams that could all get hot
and bothered.
Why is that not taking place right now? Rather than it taking place out of a form built out of necessity, why is the team not making more? I guess because if it's not broke, don't fix it. It's the best explanation there. But why is there not a more concerted effort to have the big one that we talk about, if we're going to talk about Barco and his criticisms, is that he doesn't take many shots on goal.
He doesn't shoot at all. I'd say that's the only criticism of him right now.
Meanwhile, you have Miggy that lets it fly every time it comes into his possession if he's not up at the top left right by the post.
His shot is way off right now,
and it's so far off. So why are we as a team not finding a way to structure this offense in a way that those opportunities are being distributed more evenly to playmakers that clearly have that ability to do so, rather than waiting for them to get hot if they have to? That's my concern. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I can't remember who was talking about it yesterday, saying that it's kind of by design, that they feel like, and maybe I missed that in your point, is that we are making a concerted effort to where Joseph is our scoring outlet, not trying to spread it around at all. Yeah.
But at the same time, other teams know that as well. That's the problem, is that we've talked about how Atlanta has a target on their back, how teams are having to do like what Seattle did, like what some of these teams are doing to burn time, stifle Atlanta's offense, park the bus, and it's up to Atlanta to break it. But we're not really seeing a consistent approach to how to remediate that from an offensive strategy perspective. And it seems like what we always fall back to, like against Portland, like we saw against Seattle, is playing it out to the wings rather than these players that have playmaking ability developing something centrally and taking more shots on goal.
Okay. So what can be said, we talked a little bit about squad rotation last week. What can be said about the lack of what happened yesterday? Brittany Hess is saying, didn't we have 2 subs left? She said Carlton should have been subbed in. I don't disagree with that. I've been wanting him to come in. I think he's a game changer at a certain point. I think that you give a guy like him with fresh legs 15 minutes to run against, especially like an older defense, I think in Seattle. I guess Chad Marshall had been taken out at that point, but you're bringing in, I think Ozzie Alonso came in. So you're not dealing with like fresh players, fresh opposition that he's going up against. And especially with 9 men, I feel like he would have been great. I mean, even if it was he and Barco that were, side by side in the middle, if it was Miggy for Carlton or Carlton for Almiron, I mean, I don't know. I think there are game changers there. I know there's things that have been said, whether that's in our Slack chat or in the chat or in the trap tonight about how Romario Williams is not the option that we need for unlocking defenses late with the change of pace type of substitution. But I'm not so sure I agree with that. I think that he's done a fine job. I mean, it's hard for a striker to come on with 10 minutes. I guess it was 16 minutes, I think, last night. To give a guy like that who needs you need time to build some sort of chemistry, like in-game chemistry for, I don't know. I just think that's kind of unfair to levy that judgment against Romario Williams when he doesn't get to play for more than 15 minutes at a time.
The other big thing is regardless of how much we talk about whether or not the goal discrepancy in between players is a big deal or not, we're on top of the table for a reason. And ultimately, if it's working, and it clearly is, I could give a shit less. Like, yes, it's concerning, but until it's an actual problem, which it's not right now, ultimately it's a moot point. And statistically last night, that's the other frustrating part about the game. And sometimes it just falls that way. Atlanta dominated that game. I think it was something like 88% pass efficiency, 69% possession. I mean, but the downside is that a lot of those opportunities were off of crosses, and Atlanta's not really a lethal threat on crosses, whether in the run of play or off of corners. And I'm not seeing any sort of developments or changes on that aspect of things that are making us better.
How many corners do you think we had yesterday?
Oh, 16, 17.
And we had, let's see, I'm trying to find that. Oh, anyway, I'll look that up real quick. But they, I don't know. It sucks because, again, I feel like there's a common theme whenever we lose, especially at home, that we've been forced to the outside. Again, this feels like a loss. We keep saying loss, even though we know we got 1 point out of it. I mean, LA Bevan says that, where did it go? He had it in there. Never mind. I missed it. Somebody was talking about, he said they've been crossing. They need a big guy on the field. I mean, it's true, but Joseph's got ups. He can get on. How many header goals does he have?
5-7 and leading in header goals.
So we had, thank you, Brian. He said we had 15 corners yesterday and 44 crosses.
Pretty close.
Yeah. That's 9 more crosses than we had against Portland, and we thought that was kind of an egregious amount. Yeah.
What's our attacking look like in positional report from last night? I'm just curious.
Right. I mean, Robert Swick says have to remember 8 guys in the box for Seattle. Exactly. Like we need to. I don't know. You got to find somewhere to break that down. I don't know. You said positional reports.
Yeah. I mean, I will say to Atlanta's credit, it's not like they just stayed on our half of the field and played keep away because Seattle was bunkering. They were making attempts at it, and obviously it didn't work. So the natural reaction is to be critical of that, but it's just frustrating. It's not.
But it was kind of like, again, just shades of the Portland game where I still felt like we were getting threatened late in the game, even whenever we were down or we were up a man on them. Yeah. It was a little.
We almost got caught sleeping late.
Yeah, it was a little disconcerting. I guess I don't know. It was definitely not my favorite part of yesterday.
Nonetheless, we get the draw. We're ahead, 1 point ahead of NYCFC. Still a top supporter shield race. I think our season and our remaining schedule is more favorable than NYCFC's is. I stand by the fact that I think I don't know, man. If I had to put money on it right now, I would say that Red Bulls will end up jumping us.
I think so too. I think still head and shoulders they're the best team in the league. I know somebody in the chat had mentioned that the coaching change was going to screw them up, but I don't think that's the case. I mean, they beat SKC yesterday. Granted, it was in New Jersey last night, but they are Saturday. But they still won against a great team from the West.
Orlando got a win.
Orlando did get a win. FC Dallas got another win, right? Yep.
The other thing though is even talking about NYCFC, they took away 3 wins in 3 games in a week, which is crazy. Or was it 2 wins out of the 3 games?
They lost to.
That's right.
They had a 1-0 loss. I'm trying to remember who it was against, but yeah, they won. They only have 1
6 points out of 3 games.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. They only have 1 win in a row right now. I don't know if that's the best way to say it. DC. So let's anything else to talk about on this game? I think like we've kind of not beat it into the ground because we could talk about it for a lot longer, but wanted to preview since we only do this show most of the time on Monday nights. So
I will shout out Terminus Legion. I did do breakfast bagels and brisket, which was on point. That was
Goldberg's and brisket.
That was the best call. That started a good meat and bread base for the rest of the day, which I was good to go with.
Yeah, I live vicariously through you and Domer. The slow cooked red meat. I'm like, that's I share that affliction that with.
We're gonna start a run. We're gonna start a fun run for you, Tim.
No, I mean not gonna do anything.
We're gonna find a cure for that gout.
Yeah,
we're gonna find a cure.
The cure is not eating slow cooked red meat. We have the hottest of hot takes right now in the trap right now. It's Wavy One says, do you think we need to get another keeper?
So rather than getting another keeper, I feel like we should discuss Can or Guzan.
Brad Guzan is great.
Guzan let in a PK that he picked the right side. I think that calls into question whether or not Can would have saved it and followed through with the save or not.
Oh,
it's a valid discussion
God.
in my opinion right now.
No, that's true. That's absolutely true. Oh, Guzan had a bad day at the park where was it? In Dallas. He had a great game against Philly. I think he did well yesterday. I'm not mad at that.
Not at all.
Yeah. Hey, Michelle coming out of the woodwork to say keep Guzan. I agree. Hashtag play your Brads. Okay, so we have DC coming up on Saturday.
Yes.
3:30 kickoff.
Assad better than Rooney.
3:30 kickoff really means like 4:15 probably.
I don't know anymore.
Dude, yesterday was ridiculous. It was supposed to be a 2 p.m. kick, and we didn't get the kickoff until almost 2:30.
Exactly.
Granted, I think somebody made the point. Maybe it was you that maybe they were. Yeah, I guess. I mean, we're 1-3-0 against them, right? We don't have do we have a draw against them?
I don't believe so. They won all 3 games.
They took 9 points from us last year, right?
They did.
Here's my hot take, and we talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's not going to happen this game, but this team is poised for a playoff run.
DC,
who's sitting on 14 points right now.
Fuck off. Explain.
That attack that was on display this weekend against Vancouver.
I don't see it happening.
Dude, Yamil Assad's goal, Paul Areola's goal. Oh, God.
Pilo's.
Get over here.
Chill your face.
Yeah. He got up. He got scared. He farted. And
God. I got it in my mouth again.
Yes.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's the worst. I didn't get a chance to see much of Rooney. I saw the goals. I saw that they, granted, Vancouver doesn't have the defense that they normally do. I saw that I don't know. That attack again, I will say between Assad and Areola and Rooney and Maddox and
I didn't watch the game. I don't know.
I'm a little.
So you think we lose this weekend? Is that what you're trying to get to?
I don't think No. I said it doesn't start with us. I think that we still probably take this game. We take this win. I still think that.
Think next year's their year though. You really think they're going to make playoffs this year?
To Brian's point, he said, "Wow, they have 15 out of 20 games remaining at home." And they just opened Audi Field. How fitting is that Yamil Assad scores the opening goal in Audi Field?
I love that. That's pretty great.
I still say, again,
I hope he goes to another team. I hope he goes to Nashville next. Does it there too. Just going from club to club. Then he goes to Miami, gets there first.
It was a much prettier goal than the one that was scored at Bobby Dodd.
It was.
And Brian, I was going to say the exact same thing. I said this at the tailgate whenever we recorded at Elder Tree. I think that Yamil Assad replaces Miguel Almiron next year.
When Almiron goes over, shifts over, and you put Assad.
Yep, you put Assad back on the left.
I wouldn't mind that. Wouldn't mind that. Do you know what his deal is? Is it a 1-year deal?
Yes, it's a loan deal.
Wow.
Yes. So
it's possible.
Yes, it's very possible. And the way he's playing right now, he's going to end up being a DP for us.
We all know his dad wants him to play here.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Joey Herring brings up the goal of the week.
Oliver fucking Shannon. You're right.
Yeah, that's
You're right.
USL goal.
USL was the goal of the week. You're right.
Alfonso Davies from Vancouver. If some European club isn't snapping him up in the summer, I'll be shocked, because you got to go and watch that goal. The way that he weaved around the defense, it was a complete solo effort. Got onto his left foot outside the box and just ripped it in. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, no, but I guess to Robert's point, he said it would be awesome if we got Yamil Assad back after we lost his after selling his Discovery rights. That would be amazing. Yeah, so the DC game, they've been a thorn in our side. We got them. We beat them once this year so far, right?
Yeah,
at home.
Yeah,
it was 70,000. Yeah, right. Because their schedule's all screwed up with Audi Field and all that. Do you have any concern? Michelle was asking, what are your thoughts on Rooney? I still think Rooney's a great player for MLS in the next few years.
My concern for this game is the midfield. What happens in the midfield where you have Atlanta that's clearly offensively structured, and then you have DC clearly the same way, trying to push that offense? Who's going to make the opportunities in the midfield? Does Gressel step up in the midfield? What happens there? I think that's the interesting position in this weekend's game, is what's happening centrally in the midfield, because I think for all expectations, we'll stick with the 4-back and hold out against their attacking, and vice versa. I think that they'll probably do the similar. They ran a 4-back this past week against Vancouver, right?
It was a 4-1-4-1. It looks like they played.
So it's going to be who can create opportunities in the midfield. And I think this might be the first game where we noticed a real lacking of Nagbe,
being able to control the game.
Having somebody that can control and take space and distribute left and right, and also play, positionally around the midfield. That's really what's going to drive this game. If DC can find a way to control the central midfield, I think this game weighs heavily in their favor. That said, I haven't seen anything out of Gressel that makes me overly concerned about his ability to do so.
Agreed. Brian said he thought Gressel did fairly well. I think too, I think he did as well. And the one thing that I will say that he's not Nagbe with is Gressel seems very in control whenever pushing forward. And he can track back. He's got speed and all that. But there's something about the way that Nagbe was controlling the game in almost every facet. It was and not just that. It kind of left a stamp on the game. I think Gressel's a much better offensive player, but the way that Nagbe and Jeff were working together in that midfield, something I missed. I don't think we have anything to worry about. They're
the difference is going to be the one-on-ones. Whereas Gressel, I have not seen, yes, Gressel's been competent. Yes, he's been okay in the midfield, but I have not seen anything out of Gressel's game in 2 years that says this is a guy that I can consistently depend on in a one-on-one scenario. There are moments of it, but unlike Nagbe, where you see him take on a one-on-one or take on a split defender role, Gressel, more times than not, will play a one-touch pass in that situation rather than actually taking on a defender or an opposing midfielder.
He doesn't hold up play as much as Nagbe does. Yeah,
does not.
No, that's true. It is. In that way, I would argue that Gressel's more fluid than Nagbe would be, because he doesn't stagnate the game the same. Nagbe does it, and stagnate sounds like a negative term, but the way that he can hold up play is definitely a sought after attribute, something that we need in this team sometimes, because sometimes aimlessly we wander forward. And
Score prediction?
Score prediction for this weekend. I think it'll be a pretty open game. I mean, we talked about it. I mean, you talk about their front five essentially between Yamil Assad, Luciano Acosta. I forgot Acosta. I've been talking about the other four. Between Maddox, Acosta, Assad, Areola, Rooney now. I mean, we have a lot to contend with. And we have our best defender, who is What are your thoughts? I think three, maybe reverse the script from what we had with what they had with Vancouver. I think we'll 3-1 against them.
I'm thinking I don't want to call it.
Well, for those of you guys who are putting it in the chat, we have Brittany S saying 2-1 Atlanta, Ellie Beaven 2-2 draw, Michelle 3-2 Atlanta. Make sure you guys go to gethomebeforedark.com/predictions. Put them in there.
I want to go back. I mean, we're talking about how much DC's win over Vancouver really stood out and was an exclamation point on them starting this conversion. But I think this game and that win is more in line with a discussion over how meaningful Orlando's win was over Toronto. Because if you look at Vancouver's run of form since their win against Orlando, it was a 4-0 loss to Philly, which they had a red card, a 1-0 loss to Colorado,
who's one of the worst teams in MLS,
a 3-2 win over Chicago, also not a great team, and then the 3-1 loss to Vancouver. So that said, yes, DC will be a threat. I think that it will be dictated in the midfield, central midfield specifically. I do think Atlanta pulls out the win. I do think that DC will score. I'm going to say 2-1 Atlanta.
Okay. I like that. I'm fine with that. When was the last time we gave up? I guess Dallas was the only time recently we've given up more than one goal. Is that right?
I believe so. It's been a while.
All right.
That's it. Is that it? Is that all we got?
I guess. I don't know. I think that
this episode leave you wanting?
Kevin Brown says 3-0 Atlanta, Yamil Assad own goal hat trick.
Wow.
Darren Maddox was the only guy to get on the end of the ball and put it in the back of the net. I don't know. I think that we're dealing with Jekyll and Hyde with DC right now, where we saw a poor team.
They got a lot of momentum coming off of that game, though.
They do. And it was perfect timing because it was Wayne Rooney's.
Yes.
It was his debut. He came on as a sub. I think, I can't remember what minute he came on, but he ended up getting an assist in that, I think in the second Paul Areola goal.
Oh, I got another topic to that point.
What's that?
How long has Rooney been with DCU?
Like a week.
So
week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that.
I think we'll see Remedi this week if the midfield starts lacking.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It was interesting.
If midfield's faltering, he's been here for a week.
Yeah.
Do you think you see him in he wasn't in the 18 this week?
He was in the.
He was in
what do you want to call it? The 19. He was dressed in a suit. Yeah, he came in off the bus. He was.
How long? So if you don't see him this week, how long until we see Remedi in the lineup?
I think we see him in a few weeks. Especially, we're gonna have a stretch of games. Is it in August that's coming up? That's like the stretch that we kind of harped on last week.
I believe so.
That I think we're going to kind of need him for. I think that, and to Joey Herring's point, he said we're missing Nags hard, and I agree with I agree with that completely. I think that Remedi is going to be a good substitution to come in for Gressel or Jeff Lorenowitz.
Shout out to Brandon and Jay and anybody else that went out there and welcomed him to the
that was awesome. The fact that showed up on. I thought the coolest thing was like the Atlanta airport. Whenever Atlanta United said something about, they tweeted something about Eric Remedi, and Atlanta United or the Atlanta airport tweeted back, said, "Hey, what time is he coming?" So they can like roll out the carpet for him, so to speak. And you see it on his face, like he's so happy to be here. Like he can't, like he's got a shit-eating grin on his face all the time, and it's awesome. How
much do you think those traps weigh?
Oh.
That's like a double quarter pounder with cheese on each one of his shoulders.
Like one of the new fresh ones?
Yeah, the fresh, never frozen.
Ooh, yeah.
What would you give to go back and be able to eat burgers whenever you want?
I'm really glad I can't do that anymore. I don't know if we talked about that on this show about us being on the Angus diet, but that was those
were the best years of my life.
Those were the best years, but the worst years. Like it was just so bad. Little anecdote, since we did talk about it. Kevin and I, since we're winding down the show here, Kevin and I it was journalism class in high school. We were selling ads for the yearbook that we were creating.
Both of us probably an extra 80 pounds bigger than we are now.
Trying to think, what would that be? Oh yeah. I was
oh yeah.
I was legitimately like 60 pounds heavier than I am right now. Oh geez. Oh man. And none of that was hair. Don't let the hair fool you. Anyway, we're selling ads for the yearbook. And so we got to drive off campus every day. It was something that nobody else got to do. And neither of us had money. And my mom had bought this $10 gift, this $10 like coupon card from the coupon books that kids would sell for fundraisers from one of her coworkers' kids. And it just so happened to have buy one, get one free thick burgers from Hardee's.
And that was right when Hardee's was going through their whole brand change. They started getting the Angus burgers. And they had all those commercials about.
That was a Burger King one. The Angus diet, Dr. Angus bringing them on.
I'm pretty sure that was Hardee's.
Well, I know that Dr. Angus was on the Burger King commercials.
Well, yeah, Hardee's had an Angus diet.
No, Hardee's had the Paris Hilton making sex to a burger.
I could have swore Hardee's had it.
Okay,
I just walked around that courtyard at the high school with my bindle and my torn flannel, my camo hat, just trying to scrounge up enough loose change from the vending machine so that we could go get a couple thick burgers.
But it was beautiful. We would go out and sell an ad to TCBY and we'd be like, hey, nobody else is selling ads. Like we can this is a win for today.
A hustle.
We're going to go across the street. We just sold a $25 ad. We're going to go in. It got to the point where we were getting so big and so unhealthy where I would be taking bites of that burger and the second bite, not getting winded, the reverse. No, like the extreme of that, I guess, not the reverse, where I couldn't breathe. Like I'd be on my second bite.
You don't know the power of a fat kid until you walk into an all-you-can-eat pizza buffet and they know what pizza you want and they have it made specifically for you and bring it to your table.
Again, and just another. Oh God, too many of these anecdotes playing soccer in high school because both of us started playing soccer late, so it wasn't something. Kevin was 10 times better than I was.
How to get those calories, man?
Yeah. Walk into Stacey's after a game and sit down at the table after my first go at the buffet, and Kevin's got full pizza sitting in front of him. There's bacon cheddar pizza just sitting in front of him.
Oh God! All right, thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Brian's asking, let's see. Well, first he makes the point that he just wants a game where we don't have to talk about the ref. I agree with you completely. But he does ask a good question. Showing the Gulch on Saturday, that I don't know of.
I don't know.
I am going to be with Angie and her parents. Right. So I'm going to be showing them around, or we're going to be hanging out with them. So
I don't know if we're bringing Theodore this weekend or not. So we'll see. We'll see. We've got another live show coming up soon. We've got to, at the very least, on August 19th. You can put that one in your calendars for sure.
Are we still shaving your head? He's backing out, guys. He's not a man of his word.
Yes.
Ooh. I like it.
You're thinking the wrong way, Tim.
Why?
What's a more drastic thing for Kevin to shave?
No. Shave the head, not the face.
Nobody needs to see those.
I implore you.
Nobody needs to see those chins. All right, thanks guys for checking us out. However you found us, we love the hell out of you guys. Be sure to leave a rating, review, or comment, whether it's on Twitter, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell. Hit it all. Hit it and quit it. You find all of us on Twitter, not Tim so much, but you can find that Easter egg of an account of his.
Yeah, Tim Herb. I get on there occasionally at night whenever I'm working.
Find me as well at Dan James. That's at DNJMS. And you can find Dan at The Architect. That's at @the_ARC, number 1 TECT. Collectively at Home Before Dark. That's before it's spelled D and the number 4, where I have pretty much been manning the helm, untethered and
I'm sorry.
Unsupervised.
Like, do you just feel liberated?
I do. Feel unshackled.
Let's see. Brian says, enjoy the Tito gif.
What?
I don't know. Where's that at?
I don't know.
Is that on? Oh, there it is.
What's he got?
Oh, whenever he just completely dicks that guy. We're going to watch that.
Yes.
We're going to watch that real quick.
Oh, it's so good.
And then,
and then he goes to play the out route to Miggy. And then,
Magdalena, I like it. And she says, but did you see Tito's thighs? Yes, we did. Angie sees his thighs pulled up, or his shorts pulled up. Yeah, he just pulled it up.
Pulls his thighs up over his shorts,
so his kneecaps are hitting his hips.
It's like
lower center of gravity.
It's like those gifts that cut the face in half, and they cut the nose out, so it's just eyes on top of the mouth, but it's just his thighs up to his.
But yes, Angie looks at that and she's like, he looks like he's about to strip for somebody. Anyway, it was
however you found us.
It's pretty great.
Thanks for checking us out. We'll be out at the game one way or another, even if we're not recording. Be sure to find us, slide into those DMs. We got some stuff up in the store, gethomebeforedark.com. We got some other stuff coming down the pipe here soon. Maybe, hopefully.
Down the pipe, or is it down the pike?
Pipe.
I thought it was a pike, like a turnpike, like you're driving down the road, like coming down the road.
I always think about it like
sewage,
Mario, like sewage.
Gross. You would.
I gotta go put some stuff down your pipe.
Brian says pike. Pike. It's pike.
It's definitely pike. Okay, great.
It doesn't bother me like flesh it out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's flesh it out like a skeleton.
No,
you're putting flesh. You're putting
flush it out.
Flush it out like pipes. Yeah. Like sewage pipes.
Yeah. I could
Everything's about sewage with you.
I could care less.
Irregardless, I could care less.
Thanks, guys.
I've really enjoyed conversating with you today on tonight's episode.
As always, be home before dark. I really just gotta go. I almost got another fucking